Hola, hola. Hola, hola. Hola, hola. Bueno, una pequeña introducción. Este live va a ser en inglés porque tenemos a nuestro invitado especial, Giten Tonkov, que habla en inglés, así que los que estén en inglés, escuchen, quédense eh, para que puedan escuchar esta entrevista. Estoy muy emocionada de tenerlo aquí. Y ahora, aquí, para que se una y luego vamos a tratar de hacerle una traducción a este video para que lo puedan entender en español quienes no hablan en inglés. Hello, dear Gitten.
Hello.
Hey, so nice to see
Hi.
you. So happy to see you over there in Bali. You're in Bali right now, right? Fantastic. Oh, I can't hear you. Let me see.
Yeah. You hear me okay?
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, I hope some people here understand English and they can listen to our conversation. And if not, we're going to do a translation for them afterwards. But I really wanted them to get to know you. I'm so excited to have you in our upcoming training here. And also because I know it's the first time that you're going to be teaching for Latin America online because you've only been in a couple places. So I'm
Yeah.
super excited. And also because I was in this trauma tantra training and I had this experience with you. And it was so, so impactful for me. It was so life changing. It was so useful for me as a therapist and as a tantra teacher. It was so valuable, the whole experience, just with a couple exercises. And also because I feel that there's something about presence that I feel in you when someone is embodied in what they teach, you can really feel it. And I felt very safe in your presence. I felt like you were really like emanating everything you were teaching, you truly embody it. So I'm very happy about that. And it was really impactful for me in my personal
Thank you.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you had this experience.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and so I like to have a little conversation with you so people can get to know you a little bit and why I'm bringing you in this beautiful journey that I'm taking people in this training, which is pointed to holistic therapists and psychologists and coaches and everyone who wants to also to create retreats and workshops and spaces, which we want these spaces to be safe. But I would like, first of all, to know about your experience and how is it that you got to create this method? Because I know you were also in the journey of Tantra and somewhere at some point. So I'd love
hmm
to know how that is connected to what you're doing today.
Sure. So I started in 1994 as a massage therapist in New York City.
Uh-huh.
So it like 31 years ago, which is a long time that I've been working with the body. I was still very young. I was like 22 years old. So that started my journey on working with people. And as years went on, I started different modalities. I started to work with breath, took quite a few trainings, worked with my teachers for many years to assist. And then over time, I developed biodynamic breathwork, which is it's a six-element approach, which uses breath, movement, touch, vocal expression, sound, emotional expression, and meditation. So it, the way it ties into Tantra, because for me, Tantra is really being in the moment, moment to moment, and the breath is really the tool.
Yeah,
It's the tool that keeps us present, as well as another very important tool, which is used in working with trauma, is working with our felt sense.
yeah.
And felt
Mm-hmm.
sense, it's such an amazing quality that we can keep connecting to our physical body. And the beauty of the felt sense that it can only be sensed in the present moment. You cannot
Mm.
sense yourself in the past or in the future. And that for
Yeah,
me,
exactly.
what Tantra is about, really being in the present moment, sensing your body and following that felt sensation that leads you from moment to another moment. So there is no going ahead of yourself, not being stuck, but being present at all times. So biodynamic breathwork is the modality that I developed over the years. Like I said, it's really rooted in
Mm.
working with felt sense to support the release of trauma, to support the work with the nervous system.
Yeah, so when you were journeying through Tantra, was it breath your favorite part in it? Aside from being in the
Yes,
moment?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And anything that any kind of tools, any techniques that involve breath, I found them working the quickest and going
Yeah.
straight to bypass the mind, to bypass even the um the experience of judging or going through layers of protection or layers through trauma, but to really going right into that moment because breath really brings you into the now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I see a very clear rise of many ancestral technologies of consciousness from many areas, diving into the therapeutic uh, areas of work, and which is also my line of work as a psychologist. I'm also based in Tantra and with other works regarding the body and breath, and also working with energy. And I'll touch a little bit on energy in a moment, but uh, which is, I first like to have your take on this because I see that there's this rise of consciousness and of being in the moment and of expanding your consciousness, which is like in the whole planet right now. But also, I feel like nowadays, uh, talk therapy is not enough. You need a different element that can take you to a transformational experience.
Mm.
And also, when we're running groups and workshops and all of that, we need this element of spirituality in it. And I feel that this element of being in the moment opens up the spiritual experience for people in a very therapeutic way. So I'd like to know how's your take on that? How do you see this? Like, do you see it in the people you work with, the consciousness
Well,
and the spirituality?
mhm. Yeah, well, biodynamic breath work, the modality that I share is a trauma release modality, which uses these techniques, the six elements that I named before.
Hmm.
So it, just by being in the body, releasing tension, releasing charge from the nervous system, this is a natural way to come into yourself in terms of spirituality. The spirituality, it's a byproduct kind of working with yourself, looking at the past experiences, which we call traumatic, but that actually are the catalyst for you to step on the path of personal growth and exploration and healing. And these past experiences that we call trauma, that are, it's in essence, which are interrupted impulses that are stuck in our nervous system. It's arrested energetic charge. So
Hmm.
these experiences drive us to to work with ourselves with various tools. Of course, Tantra is one of them, but there are so many others that all lead to that same final destination of discovering of who you are. So,
Yeah.
in my understanding, a real, authentic spirituality always comes from the bottom up, always starts from the body, never comes from the top down. It's really opening yourself up enough to the experience to even going beyond the experience, melting, disappearing in this vastness of whatever you want to call it, the oneness,
Hmm.
God, with many
Hmm.
terms that point in the same direction. But uh, our body is really the root. Yeah, going into the depth, releasing, being present to what's happening, going through emotional processes and understanding of who we are through this experience. That
Yeah.
for me is true spirituality, spiritual growth.
Yeah, wonderful. And also I see um, a lot of expanded consciousness experiences in the spiritual world and a lot of like going out of the body, which is really why I like so much this approach. And I think it's going to be so valuable for people to learn it with you in this training because there's so much of the of going to the fantasy of going out of the body, of connecting to other realms. But actually, what's really transformational is helping people to be embodied and to stay in their bodies. And actually I feel it's like even like energetic protection to stay in the body, because if not, you're like open to whatever is in the spiritual realm and in the energetic realm. But also I find that this has like a very practical approach to energy. So I'd like to know how you see this aspect of energy, how valuable it is to work with energy from this modality.
Yeah, absolutely. The biodynamic breathwork, or the modality that I'm working with, is rooted in working with our bioenergy. Yeah,
Hmm.
so we, of course,
Oops, you got
example,
frozen.
t-
Oh, there you go.
yeah,
Now you're back.
yeah. So when we, yeah, okay, great. So when we work with our trainees in the training, one of the foundational elements is using resonance to be able to establish this connection with clients. So it's kind of like putting your receiver, tuning your receiver onto broadcast that comes from the client, and that our emotional states, our thought processes all have their own vibrational qualities. So we put on that receiver so we're able to receive those vibrational qualities and base our support on that. So all of this is energy. All energy is nothing but vibrational waves. Yeah, and it, on the gross level, on the level of bioenergy, this is more kind of um, more down to earth kind of vibrations. And the vibrations of resonance that we work with in this modality is more finer vibrations. And of course, there's even more finer vibrations, but our focus is really on working with bioenergy. And trauma is when that bioenergetic flow gets interrupted because of the incomplete impulse, incomplete response, which is stuck in the nervous system. So
Yeah,
when we're working with our bioenergy, we support the body simply to complete that interrupted response so the energy can flow again. So that
yeah,
arrested energy can be manifesting in physical tension, in emotional patterns, in relational patterns, but a lot of it is really in the physical body. It's tensions of patterns of physical body that we store for years on end. Could be related to developmental trauma, developmental disruption. So it's all energy in the end, and in the beginning.
exactly. Yeah. And I also find that there's a very important piece that as a space holder or people who run workshops or guide clients, I mean, for me, I had a super sublime, intense trauma release when I did the exercises in your training. And I find that regulating my nervous system as a therapist and as a space holder is so key. Like it really gave me more capacity to hold space for more people and to people processes, because we have people coming, you know, to these sacred sexuality workshops or shamanism or all kinds of things. And nowadays, I mean, we all got trauma. We all have trauma. So it's like in everything we do. So I find that this is like such a key piece. And also, even like as an entrepreneurs, having your regulated nervous system is so essential so that you can really keep yourself holding everything and keeping yourself open to everything. So on my side, that was like a very big piece, and in order to hold more space for people. Hmm.
Mhm.
But I also, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it in essence, we can only take our clients as far as we have gone ourselves.
Exactly.
So it's important to keep doing our own work to actually to heal ourselves, to create that space inside our body that we're able to be in the presence of a strong emotion without it triggering our own processes around it. Yeah, so we can hold space. This is what means holding space, that you are there in presence and compassion and empathy for somebody, not vibrating in sympathy, yeah, or not being triggered by a person in front of you, what you holding space for, but actually giving them that opportunity, providing that opportunity for them to drop into something that may be difficult or painful,
Yeah.
but not to make it about yourself.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I said that phrase, exact same sentence the other day. You can only take people as far as you've gone yourself. So I also, that's why for people in the holistic world, because I know there's so many people wanting to follow their purpose and to do these experiential stuff for pieces. But if you haven't done like a basis work on your nervous system, that's gonna be tough. It's gonna be challenging. Even
Yeah.
a little work of anything, you know? So
Yes, it's
sure.
i- exactly. It's easy to create space to bring someone into some sort of experience. It's not very difficult. There are so many tools that if you just use these tools, they work. The question comes is, what do you do with that space that arose out of that? How
Hmm.
do you hold people in whatever came out of that experience? Do you support them to process it? That is a step which is actually more important,
Yeah.
because it's easy to create a disruption. It's easy to create an experience. Where this experience takes you is really the direction and the space that we as practitioners are need to be able to hold others in. And that only comes from doing your own work.
Yes, exactly. And you made me think about another piece that's very important, that coming from a Tantra world myself, I even got to a moment where I just wanted to activate people and to have these intense experiences. And I also see it in other people at some point, like uh, people want to make people cry and have like intense experiences, but over time I understood that that's really not the point, and that's really not necessary for
Mhm.
something to be transformational. And this is where integration comes in, and which I find that this working with the nervous system that you work with in biodynamic breathwork is such a great tool, because I find that at this point in my life, after 15 years of experiences, I feel that integration is even more important than liberation and
Mhm.
activation by far. And we're like, people are seeking so much stimulation and this and that, and you have to work with this and with that. But the integration piece is, I find, like the most important one, because you can only take so much of some experiences. Hmm.
Yeah. Yes. The insights, the understanding of our experience only comes in the integration part. Yeah, with like you said, so many people go for that sensationalism of experience itself. Yeah, that big emotional process. If that
Mm-hmm.
emotional process is not understood, if it's not brought to the body level in terms of felt sensation, it's like playing a broken record. You can keep coming back to that strong emotional process over and over without much shifting, actually, on a deeper level. It's kind of getting high. It gives you this emotional endorphin, emotional chemical high from the strong emotional expression.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the it's a step on the journey, but it's not the destination. And then what I see is that many people stop there.
Mm-hmm.
They find,
Exactly.
okay, this is they reach that place and they stop. Oh yeah, this was amazing. Okay, next session, the same thing comes up. Yeah, this was great. How much longer can you keep revisiting the same experience?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly. And also another piece that I see nowadays, like in the healing movement, like on a maybe planetary level, if you want to call it, like the paradigms of healing. I want to see if you see this in a similar way, but I find that we're transitioning from a paradigm that was really based on pain, on working on your wounds, on your shadow, and you have to work on
Mhm.
this and that. You really hear that on the healing spaces. You need to work with the mother wound, with your childhood wound, whatever. And like so much focus on the wounding and the hurting and the pain. And I see nowadays that we are like the paradigm is kind of moving towards having a very embodied, healthy experience of pleasure, even in all therapeutic scenes and all therapeutic contexts. Uh, but a pleasure that is not what we have been told that it is, like this dopamine rise and taking drugs or alcohol, whatever. It's about a pleasure that you can only find in this I call it a divine pleasure, where you really experience yourself in your own body, your own totality. And that's truly, truly the goal, even. I find that the goal is not even to heal, it's just actually to feel that pleasure, that original pleasure that is within you. Do you see this transition, like in the paradigm of including pleasure and
Mhm.
in this aspect?
Yes, I think that both pain and pleasure are part of the same experience. It's like they're the two sides of the same coin, and there is
Mhm.
very uh, short distance from one to another.
Yeah,
Yes, so um, to get to the real pleasure, we need to first experience discomfort and pain and
exactly.
not to bypass it and go straight into pleasure. But the goal is that open so much, accept so much of ourselves that we're opening up to the pleasure principle, which is in all of us. This is that impulse to reach out. Since we're babies, we have this impulse from the heart to reach out for pleasure. It starts from reaching out to mother for
Yeah.
nourishment, for touch, for food, for love, for physical touch, for safety. This is all looking for pleasure. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when we are reaching out and that reaching out is met with deprivation or punishment, we hear no and there's no one there, and we get anxious, we withdraw and contract, and then all that protection mechanism, the armoring starts to set in, the personality starts to form. So to again restore that impulse to reach out and receive pleasure, we need to first shed those protection layers that we unconsciously created. It's this safety mechanism that is at play. So it, it it's really it's part of the same experience, going through pain, through discomfort to reach pleasure. But the ultimate goal, yes, is to be open so much that everything you do, it becomes pleasure, physical pleasure.
Hmm.
So yeah, to be able to experience this pleasure guilt free.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's such a strong aspect because when we have trauma in our bodies, we even are scared of feeling pleasure and in our bodies. We're afraid of it. And also there's like so much like feel the pleasure, feel good when people have trauma in their bodies. You have to go through that alchemical process in order to really come back to that original self, and that's all in the nervous system. In the pain and the pleasure, it's in the same energy body of the nervous system. So it's such an
Exactly.
important aspect. And also, how do you see pleasure fitting in biodynamic breathwork?
A lot a lot of the pleasure goes again back into sensing our felt sensations. It goes
Hmm.
dropping into the body. When we drop into that unobstructed bioenergetic flow, then we really drop into the pleasure. We are feeling that free flow of the movement of energy that comes from the core, radiating in all directions. We're experiencing our own touch. We're experiencing receiving touch from a supporter. We're experiencing the experience of our own experience of movement, of spinal unwinding. Yeah, so all of that, it's unobstructed nervous system release, which actually becomes orgasmic. Yeah, we
Exactly.
call it in the body-oriented therapy, it's called an orgasm reflex, which Willem Reich, the father of the body-oriented therapy, discovered. And it's a free flow of energy, free flow of nerve impulses through your central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. It's really coming from the spinal cord, radiating through the whole body. It's really uh, sexual orgasm has nothing compared to it. It's more of a really full body release, and
Exactly.
which
Uh-huh.
actually is not sexual in the feeling. It's
Mhm.
more of a just a high energy, high frequency body vibration that is extremely pleasurable.
Mhm. Exactly. And you know, it's interesting that it is said that our Kundalini energy is here like, as this creative vital force available to us so that we can create our lives and create our reality. It expands our consciousness. The more conscious we are, the more access we have to our energy, and with that energy, we can make better decisions and decide what we really want to do and not stay in our protection modes. And so we can get more creative in our lives, right? And so I'd like to know how is the Kundalini energy present in this biodynamic breath work? How
It's
is it present?
Mhm. It's really pretty much what I just spoke about before.
Yeah,
It's really opening
the
up to
same.
that energetic charge that is already in the body that wants to come through. It's just covered by the layer upon layer of armoring that we put on to block that flow. Everyone has potential to feel it. So to open that up, and that there's different terms for it. There's kundalini energy, there's orgasm reflex, but in the essence it's the same thing. It's
Hmm.
really opening up to that free flow that starts at the bottom of the spine, that starts in the sacral region and starts to flow up. Yeah, and that produces that wave of the spine, that opening of the heart. And I've seen a lot in my courses when people reach that, the so much fear that comes with it.
mm, mm,
And
mm.
also, being able to prepare the nervous system to be able to deal, to accommodate that kind of amount of charge to move through it. It's like you're putting, if the nervous system is not prepared, if you're putting like a high electric charge through a wiring that's not prepared to hold it. Yeah, so it's important to create that resiliency through the work of ourselves, removing that layers upon layers of armoring that we carry, so we can prepare our nervous system to be able to deal with that release, with that Kundalini experience.
Mhm,
And biodynamic breathwork is great at doing
mm.
exactly that, simply because we are expanding our window of tolerance. We're expanding our, or rather regaining our resilience that we've lost because of traumatic experiences.
Exactly, exactly. And what I really like also about bringing you into this training is that, and about this kind of work, well, many things, but I'll give some examples. First is that I love this work of bringing in the pleasure to work through the pain, that it's all up through this embodied experience, using the breath work for that. That's very practical, concrete tool for any kind of therapist, facilitator, anyone who holds space for another human is going to benefit from this, also from our own nervous system. And at the same time, uh, this understanding of nowadays that you can actually heal and release trauma in a safe way without even talking about it. Because from the psychology current, we know that there's a very important aspect of integration that we also need to understand, like how to relate to myself again. And there's a psychological work that's very important, that's top down. But this bottom up is very revolutionary in the sense that you don't even need to talk about it. So people come with trauma to your workshop, and you do you apply some of these principles of regulating your nervous system, felt sense or somatic senses sensing, and you're already holding a safe space for people who have trauma and to get some release of tension without even having to talk about it or think about your wounding or your healing or your inner child wounding and all of that. So that's a very, very
Yes,
huge piece.
exactly. Understanding comes as the next step after we have worked with the body. And that's exactly what you said. It's really moving from the bottom up. If we're moving from the mind to the body, or just staying on the level of the mind, you could have all the understanding you want until you address it on the physical level, until you complete that interrupted impulse. No change will actually come. Intellectually,
Mhm.
you can get it. Until you bring in the body, it won't shift. The patterns, the holding structure won't change. But when we start to address it on the body level, when we complete the responses, when we shed the armoring, when we melt the armoring, the next step that happens is this aha moment. That's how my pattern, that's how my pattern in relating to myself, to others, to my body, to my sexuality, that's when it all starts to kind of fit in like a puzzle. It has to be holistic. It's all word holistic comes from the word whole. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
an approach that involves the body, involves the mind, involves the intellect, involves the experience, involves the pain, involves the pleasure, involves the nutrition, involves the sexuality. All of this needs to come together for
Mm-hmm.
the best result.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And when you have worked with people with sexual trauma, it made me think about this. Um, in what level, like specifically, does this work for people or help people with sexual trauma?
Well, it works, first of all, on the body level. Start with the body level to start to release that actual physical tension that formed because of the sexual trauma. Then the next level is the belief system that starts to form around the sexual trauma. Yeah,
Mhm.
so when we address the body, when we start to open up the tension in the pelvis, in the pelvic floor, in the abdomen, that energy has the chance to come up to the heart. So then there's a connection between that sex and the heart established. When I noticed this is a pattern, people that have experienced sexual trauma get stuck in a pattern. It could be destructive sexual behavior or not having sex or being cut off from the sex. In either way, sex and the heart are cut from each other. They're separated. So when we
Mhm.
begin to work with the body through the breath, through movement, through touch, through vocal expression, through emotional expression, bringing to everything together in the meditation, so all the insights are actually taking place in that integrative space of meditation, parasympathetic integration. So that starts to re-establish this connection between the heart, the sex, the heart, the expression that brings it even higher into meditation. That's the whole movement of Tantra, is pretty much from the sex to the heart to creativity to meditation to
Exactly.
expression to meditation. Yeah, it's not stuck on either one of the levels.
Mhm.
It's an upward flow.
Mhm. Exactly. And I find that, well, the principles, the six elements that you work with in biodynamic breathwork are the same that are used in Tantra, but it's more oriented like in a therapeutic level, you would say, right?
Yes, yeah, it's a therapy
Right.
oriented modality. Yeah, so um we actually rarely speak about tantra. I bring it in, and for me, in essence, this work is tantric. But I don't really bring the term into it because in our society it attracts people, but it also scares people. And
Yeah,
there's so much wrong understanding of what tantra is. There's so much mm, so many practices that are included under the word tantra which are not really tantra.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
that's why I'm really focusing on uh, using the terms that this is a body oriented
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic approach. People that know and understand Tantra see the connection,
Yes.
but it's not really a focus. I'm not putting out, okay, this is a tantric practice. Because
Right.
in my, when I experimented with it, that started to bring the wrong audience to it.
Aha,
Yeah, a bit,
interesting.
yes, yes, yeah. And
Interesting.
that's what I discovered. I'm like, all right, so I'm focusing on the therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and through therapy, people really get to understand that everything is a full relaxation, full going with the flow, full letting go. It's what Tantra is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But even like in um maybe like in daily interactions, even learning this felt sense and how to be in the body and to breathe, you can also translate this into your partners, like couples work or with your
Hmm.
partner, breathe
Hmm.
together, being in that felt sense. Like I feel that it even changes sexuality itself, probably more
Absolutely.
access to everything.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. The more each person is connecting to their own experience of bioenergy, then out of that place, a true connection with the other starts to happen.
Hmm. Hmm. Wonderful. So, Giten, lastly, how, let me see, I have a little list of questions that I wanted to ask you here. um, how how has been your own path of integration with this stuff? Like, how do you do the breathing on your own? Do you do, or do you work with people? How has it been in your personal integration? Maybe your
Yeah,
own trauma release or like your own integration.
I have gone over the years when I was doing my own work before I actually started to share it in the form of therapy and teaching people. I have gone through many years of my own journey. A lot of it
Hmm.
been through breath work, a lot of it been through various other modalities, a lot of it been through body work and family constellation, which I'm also trained in. So um, and now a lot of the times I'm focusing on working with my own felt sense, identifying, tracking sensations, allowing my body to go into exploring conscious movement, spontaneous movement. I really enjoy contact improv because it gives me the possibility to really be present with my felt sense. Yeah, I'm really working with the presence of another person there, noticing that how the energy starts to generate just simply by being in contact, applying pressure, how that energy moves me, how am I present, what drives me, what attracts me to go and explore with a specific person in the movement. You know, just being aware of my impulses
Hmm.
and noticing where this impulse is coming from, but really coming comes down all the time to presence to my own physical body, presence to my breath, presence to my emotional states, and just allowing myself to be in it and not to get stuck in any one of them. Yeah, so it comes and goes as I
Hmm.
observe it.
Uh-huh. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. And the last thing I'd like to know in your words, like in your experience, why do you think this work uh, will be important for the people, for holistic therapists or whoever comes? Because we're going to have psychologists, coaches, holistic Tantra practitioners from all kinds. How can they apply it in what they do? Like with
Mhm.
what you're going to teach, how is it, what is it that they're going to gain, and they're going to be able to do when they learn this, when they train with you? Hmm.
Okay, so the main focus is really on exploring the six elements of biodynamic breathwork: breath, movement, touch, sound, emotional expression, and meditation. How these elements come together that you can bring into your own practice, uh, as well as the understanding of the principles of how we are holding tension, how the trauma is reflected in the physical body, and how to approach those uh, uh, um, interrupted impulses through the working of the with the six elements of biodynamic breathwork. Yeah, so through the few classes that we'll be teaching for this training, we will be focusing on these
On these
elements. So
elements.
it's a very practical, hands-on approach.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you can do these principles like when holding workshops or
Absolutely.
individual
Yeah.
sessions. Hmm.
They're applied all across the board when you're working with
Yeah.
individuals or you're working with the groups of people. It's always more or less safe as long as you understand these principles. You can apply them in what you already do.
Hmm. And have you had psychologists that incorporate this to their sessions? Because it's no
Many,
talking, so
many.
it's a
Yeah,
whole different
it's
experience.
yeah, yeah. Well, we include talking
There
and
is some
interview in the
talking, yeah.
beginning. So there's a yeah, absolutely. The right
Yeah.
questions need to be asked to point a person back into their body. Yeah, for them
Mm.
to realize what and where and how it's been stored.
Yeah, exactly. Hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we're super
All right.
excited to have you. I'm so honored that people are going to be so blessed to have you and to learn all these things with you. I'm super excited to have you, really, and that you're available for this. And we're going to be translating you for people so that they know. We're going to have some simultaneous translation
Hmm.
from me. So we're also gonna have some fun
All
learning
right.
this.
Yeah, I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to it. Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Giten, and I'll see you
Hmm.
in soon when we start.
See you soon.
Many
Thank you,
blessings to
Karen.
you.
Pleasure.
Pleasure. Bye
See
bye.
you.